I've talked about grains in detail, but there are still many important points to cover. However, I'll try to keep it simple and summarize the key points. The outer husks of whole grains like brown rice contain significant amounts of phytic acid, which interferes with the absorption of minerals. Phytic acid is found in brown rice, various whole grains, beans, spinach, and more. It binds with minerals such as calcium, magnesium, iron, zinc, and manganese, blocking their absorption. Therefore, even if you consume enough minerals through food, they may not be effectively absorbed. This means that eating a lot of brown rice or beans can lead to mineral deficiencies. In part 2 of the previous discussion, I mentioned that patients with certain conditions should avoid whole grains like brown rice due to phytic acid interfering with iron absorption. For the same reason, people who need adequate minerals, such as children in their growth period and elderly individuals, should avoid consuming too much brown rice, whole grains, or beans. Additionally, these foods can be difficult to digest, which is especially concerning for children and elderly people whose gut cells are more fragile and prone to damage. You may have heard growing up that eating spinach would make you stronger, but the reality is that the oxalates and phytic acid in spinach actually hinder the absorption of minerals like iron. While spinach does contain iron, the absorption of that iron is only about 2% because of the oxalates and phytic acid. Oxalates, like phytic acid, bind with minerals like calcium, potassium, iron, magnesium, and cobalt, preventing their absorption. In short, even though plants have minerals, they do not easily give them up to herbivores or humans. In fact, they can prevent the absorption of minerals from other foods as well. To summarize, whole grains like brown rice and beans contain high amounts of phytic acid and oxalates, which can block the absorption of calcium, magnesium, iron, and other minerals, potentially leading to mineral deficiencies. For this reason, I absolutely do not recommend eating whole grains like brown rice and beans together. This is especially important to avoid if you have health conditions or are pregnant, elderly, or caring for someone in a similar situation. But it's not just the oxalates and phytic acid that are problematic. When children consume too much fiber from foods like brown rice, growth can be hindered. Professor Moon from Seoul National University's Pediatric Department mentioned that excessive fiber intake in growing children can lead to poor absorption of minerals like calcium, stunted growth, and side effects like diarrhea and abdominal pain. He also shared that many children come to their hospital with diarrhea and stomach pain from excessive fiber intake. Another article highlighted the same concerns about children consuming too much fiber. Professor Lee Dong-ho, a gastroenterologist, explains that excessive fiber intake in children can lead to constipation or irritable bowel syndrome. He adds that many children visit the hospital due to digestive issues caused by fiber, and these digestive problems can affect growth. Children experiencing digestive issues may not grow properly. Furthermore, excessive fiber intake can interfere with the absorption of essential vitamins and minerals, including iron. This can lead to conditions like osteoporosis or anemia. In other words, excessive fiber intake also hampers the absorption of minerals, which is surprising to many. Research has shown that plant-based diets, which include whole grains like brown rice, beans, spinach, and others, can lead to mineral deficiencies due to the presence of oxalates, phytic acid, and fiber. This can weaken bones, leading to conditions like osteoporosis. Studies suggest that vegan diets can decrease bone density and increase the risk of fractures, with Asian populations being especially vulnerable to a 45% higher risk. In short, if plants contain minerals that are beneficial for bones, why do plant-based diets seem to lead to weaker bones? The answer lies in how oxalates, phytic acid, and fiber block the absorption of these minerals, which eventually leads to mineral deficiencies and weaker bones. This is why children who follow a plant-based diet may have lower bone density and shorter heights compared to their peers. Professor Cho Jong-jin, a professor of pediatric surgery, emphasizes that animal products like meat and dairy are crucial for growth, as they are rich in essential minerals like zinc and iron. He points out that countries where people consume a lot of meat and dairy have faster-growing children, while children in countries that rely mostly on corn and bread, like Mexico, have slower growth rates. Grains like corn and brown rice contain phytic acid, which blocks the absorption of zinc and iron. Now, do you see it more clearly? Combining foods that block mineral absorption, like oxalates, phytic acid, and fiber, results in a triple punch that hampers nutrient absorption. But this isn't all. Do you know about saponins? Foods like lentils, soybeans, red beans, and certain vegetables like angelica, ginger, and burdock are rich in saponins. The problem is that saponins strongly bind with minerals like copper, zinc, chromium, lead, nickel, and manganese, which also blocks their absorption, just like oxalates and phytic acid. So, many foods contain multiple antinutrients that can hinder mineral absorption. An interesting study involved consuming oysters, which are rich in zinc, and measuring blood zinc levels. After eating just 120 g of oysters, blood zinc levels significantly increased, showing the importance of zinc-rich animal products in maintaining proper mineral absorption. In the study where 120 g of oysters and 120 g of black beans were consumed together, the blood zinc levels decreased significantly. This suggests that the antinutrients found in black beans blocked zinc absorption. The main antinutrients at play here are oxalates, phytic acid, fiber, and saponins. Of course, there are many more antinutrients beyond these. Next, when 120 g of oysters and corn were consumed together, there was no increase in blood zinc levels. This indicates that the antinutrients in corn completely block the absorption of zinc. It's not just zinc that can be affected, other minerals could have their absorption blocked as well. Moving on to the issue of heavy metals, a study found that babies under 12 months of age who ate rice had 3 times higher levels of arsenic in their blood. What about unrefined brown rice? A 2014 report indicated that brown rice contains more inorganic arsenic than white rice, about 80% more. This means that whole grains, including cereals made from them, could pose a greater risk of arsenic exposure. Due to this, the Ministry of Food and Drug Safety, MFDS, in South Korea introduced new regulations regarding inorganic arsenic levels in brown rice. The MFDS has stated that brown rice is a food that is particularly high in inorganic arsenic. Research also showed that arsenic levels in brown rice snacks were more than double those found in white rice snacks. Despite this, media outlets continue to promote whole grains, including brown rice, as beneficial for managing diabetes, which is misleading. Some celebrities even claim to eat brown rice and mixed grains instead of white rice for better health. Many people are overly fond of grains, but this is based on a misunderstanding. Even well-known experts recommend starting a diet with beans and whole grains, but this combination is actually a bad choice, especially for those with health issues. The graph shown compares blood sugar levels, revealing that after consuming white rice or brown rice, the difference in blood sugar levels is minimal. In fact, brown rice caused a slightly higher increase in blood sugar, but this difference is not significant. Similarly, a study from Channel A found no meaningful difference between blood sugar fluctuations after consuming brown rice or white rice. To summarize, it's not about whether to choose white or brown rice, but rather reducing the amount of carbohydrates consumed for better blood sugar control. The key message is that we should either completely avoid or significantly reduce these grains. Studies involving 202 adults who were randomly assigned to consume brown rice for 16 weeks showed that there were no significant differences in weight, visceral fat, blood sugar, HbA1c, blood pressure, or lipid levels, despite the consumption of brown rice. This shows that the issue isn't about choosing between different types of rice, but rather reducing the amount of carbohydrates overall. The problem becomes more significant in children, especially with kidney stone issues. This is a growing concern in both the US and South Korea. Nephrologists have observed a dramatic increase in kidney stones in children over the last 30 years, a condition that was historically seen mostly in middle-aged men. One study reported a 28% increase in kidney stones among girls and 23% among boys in recent years. Despite this alarming rise, mainstream medical advice remains superficial, simply recommending adequate hydration to prevent kidney stones, without addressing the underlying cause. The real issue is that oxalates, found in many plant-based foods, are a primary contributor to kidney stones. These oxalates form sharp crystals that can cause significant tissue damage when they accumulate in the kidneys. To protect children's kidney health, it's essential to avoid foods high in oxalates, such as spinach and soy products. Unfortunately, many dietary guidelines still recommend high oxalate foods like spinach and tofu for growing children, which only contributes to the increasing number of kidney stone cases. For instance, if school lunches include plant-based burgers and foods rich in soy, children are consuming even more oxalate-rich foods, exacerbating the problem. Children love snacks like potato chips and fries, but did you know that potatoes also contain oxalates? It's important to educate children not to eat these foods in excess. For example, soy milk is another product that contains oxalates in liquid form, which are more easily absorbed by the body. Spinach, various types of greens, and soy-based products like tofu are all foods high in oxalates. Even fruits like kiwi contain high levels of oxalates. Under a microscope, you can see sharp, needle-like oxalate crystals that are harmful to the body. Consuming foods high in oxalates over time can lead to kidney health issues in children. Many parents believe that providing plant-based foods, like whole grains and soy products, is healthy, but they can contribute to these problems. For example, school lunches often include chocolate milk, which is also problematic because chocolate contains a lot of oxalates. If children consume too much chocolate, it may even hinder their growth. As I mentioned earlier, oxalates are anti-nutrients that interfere with the absorption of essential minerals like calcium, iron, magnesium, and zinc. Without proper mineral absorption, children may struggle to grow properly. There have been cases where children who switched from regular milk to almond milk developed kidney stones, causing kidney damage. Despite the growing trend of feeding kids almond-based products, these can also contribute to kidney stone issues. It's crucial to focus on the essence of children's health and avoid foods that can harm their kidneys and overall growth. Parents should be mindful of the foods they offer their children, especially when it comes to those that contain high levels of oxalates.